Friday interviews. We had 2 lined up for you today. This is interview number 2, and hopefully we'll have a show match for you afterwards. I am Shinigami. Rob, you already heard because his mic was on. And then our guy, our star in the center square over here, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm MrCash. I'm playing for Team SCA B team, and I attended the last 2 Tampa eSport LANs and had a great time. And I'm here to do a little interview, tell you guys my experiences and my background.
Outstanding. All right, Rob, you want to Shadow? You want to open up with your first question for us?
Yes, because I started as Terran. I want to know why you started with Terran, and what inspires you to play Terran. What are your favorite players?
Terran was, I guess I'd say it's the race I was born to play. I came into it, I played Terran, and there was really nothing else for me to do. I came rather abruptly into StarCraft 2, and I really didn't know anything about it. I didn't play Brood War, I didn't know anything about it, so I just started out to play the entire campaign before I played anything else. And I just got used to Terran, and it always seemed like the right thing to play as I played single player and 1v1s as time went on. I just felt like I couldn't play anything else, even when I don't even have a lot of fun off racing. I don't enjoy playing any other races. It just seems wrong to me. That's the best way I can put it.
Seems unpatriotic, unhuman.
Terran for life.
That's the best way to put it, I suppose.
That's awesome.
All right, so you're a Masters level player, correct?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yes, I do play on all 3 servers as much as I can. Korea is quite difficult, but I'm a Masters on all servers.
Congratulations. What do you think the most difficult server is, and why is that so hard? What do they do that's so hard to deal with on a daily basis on that server?
Well, Korea, without question, is the hardest server. I remember when I was doing my placement matches, and my first 2 players I played against were bronze, and then after the game, it said their APM was 200. And you can play against Protoss players on an A that are in Masters that will literally have 60 to 70 APM, so my mind was kind of a little bit blown. Obviously, the strategies were terrible, and they didn't really have a chance, but the fact that they have that kind of, even if it's mostly spam, it was really impressive to me. So they inherently learned the game very different, but the metagame on all servers is very different. So, for example, on Korea, the Zergs are incredibly greedy, and I remember even playing against Masters players, just killing them with just 6 Hellions because they make nothing but drones on 6 bases. Whereas on North America, they can get gas and speedlings as quickly as they can. So the metagame is very different on all servers. Just recently, I was playing on Europe a couple of days ago, and more than half the Protoss went Proxy Gate into a Cybernetics Court, Zealot Stalker Rush. That was the meta. So it varies a lot. I remember Wings of Liberty was very different. Like Protoss tended to be a lot more cheesy on Europe, and Zergs tend to be a lot cheesy in North America. I would say for the most part, America and Europe are almost identical up to mid-masters and high-masters. It's just their top-level Grandmaster is a lot more saturated and has a lot more players, but up to that point, the skill level is very, very similar. I do personally get a little bit of delay on on Europe, and quite a bit of delay in Korea, so I tend to stick to North America for the most part.
But since you're not playing with Protoss, you don't have that force field Zergling run-by issue that our friend Juicy Fruit has when he plays over there.
Well, every race can have challenges. The Zerg gonna have trouble with Ling and Bailing Micro. Terran, I can tell you, when I was playing on Korea, the safest opening at the time recently was just kind of Reaper expand. I was doing every matchup, and you cannot hope to stutter step your Reaper. Like you fire and you run away. Like there's a good, for me it was a good the best way I can describe the delay is when you're starting out at the beginning of the game and you set your rally for your workers. You click your rally for each mineral patch. I could click on 6 mineral patches before the rally would update. Like you can see, I can click on 6, 7 mineral patches, and then I see all the rallies update one behind another. So imagine that kind of a delay when you're trying to stutter step your Reaper.
Oof. Yeah.
So like it was fun. Don't get me wrong. It was hilarious watching myself struggle, but it's still doable. Like I said, I still reached Masters even with the delay. So it's just you have to be aware that there's certain things you can't expect to just micro out of, or splitting Marines becomes much more difficult. You have to pre-split and things like that.
That Reaper heads in to harass and scout in the beginning, and he's like, "All right, you got me." I'm like, "No, I just want a good luck."
Yeah, sometimes you gotta pray, but yeah, it's definitely nice to, especially to go in Korea, to see a lot of the strategies, because a lot of their metagame is usually a month or two ahead of North America and Europe. So a lot of times you go on there and see their build orders and their strategies, and frequently you'll see those builds appearing in North America and Europe a month or two later. So it's still nice to pop on there and see what they're doing and
Kind of like a
learn the
preview
most advanced
trailer.
stuff. Yeah, and you can be ahead of the curve yourself if you look at the build orders of some of the top players of your race and practice them a little bit early.
So, Jan, you mentioned in the email that you're very analytical, which would lend me to believe that you would not be the cheesiest Terran known to man.
I don't tend to cheese very much, but I don't have anything against it. Like, just I would say being analytical doesn't. I would say that the way I see the game is it's very important to be well-rounded.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I personally look from and take from MVP. He's very well known for being able to use any strategy during any part of a best of series and doing everything he can. I definitely don't have the mechanics or the breadth of understanding that he has of the game. So I cannot execute all of the strategies that I want, but I do attempt to. I try to practice one or two strategies at a time for every matchup. However, cheese is definitely one of them. 12 racks of innovation, 888 Reaper, whatever is necessary to win a best of 7. It's not something, I don't think it's great practice on to just do maths on the ladder, so you'll almost never see me do that, but I throw it in once in a while. I feel that especially, to me, I don't think it's a big of a deal because where I am, I'm not encountering the same players 10, 20 times. I'm playing different players most of the time. So it's not like people are remembering my exact build orders and are coming back to me. So, but I feel like as you're going to high masters and grandmasters, when you're playing the same people over and over, you have to vary it up a lot more. You have to be a lot more diverse to have a good amount of consistency, success, and in general, not just on ladder, but in tournaments as well. You can't be too predictable.
Yeah, definitely. Once they got you figured out, you can't necessarily get away with the same tricks every time.
Right, but I mean, a good standard player, I mean, like, for example, like, it's not like you can't be successful just because you're predictable. I just feel that it's a vulnerability. You can look at a player like Polt, who's known for never, ever going mech in any matchup, and if you're good enough at it, you can be very successful. Or, for example, our last Tampa Esports, Tampa Land champion, Ruff, like, he's known for being very aggressive and very cheesy, but he is good enough at it that he can have consistent results. He can stay in mid-GM, and he can win Tampa Land that had a lot of really good competitors. So if you're good enough at that strategy, it's good. But as the metagame changes, the effectiveness of those strategies depletes as well. Like a good example that Artos has brought up, like was talking about at a recent interview, I believe, with Acer. Like Huck, he's very stylistic with his gateway timings, and as the metagame changes, his effectiveness becomes more or less. He can be very successful, and a lot of times players believe that it's just their own fault. As long as they do it better, they can win. But the truth of the matter is, it's not always in their control. Sometimes in the metagame, your opponent's build orders are just going to be safer against you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Do you know a guy named Neep1Easy?
Yes, I do. He's one of my teammates.
Oh, man, because he has got a man crush on you.
Yeah, that's a fanboy if I ever seen one.
That's SCA Nepals, and he's also a very high Masters Terran. He's actually he's a very, very good player, and he's very hard on himself a lot of the times, like many players are. But he's also a high Masters player in the B team with myself.
Speaking of your team, talk to me about SCA, because SCA is an actually pretty well-known team in North America.
Yeah, they've been around for almost 3 years, I believe. I'm actually a relatively recent addition, only been on the team for 2, maybe 3 months at the most. So I don't have quite the rapport as a lot of the other players, but I'm fairly confident in saying that SCA is the best amateur team in North America. And what I mean by amateur is it's a team that doesn't have a full staff, and it doesn't have paid or contracted players. We have a sponsor that has some financial backing. That's Copper Code Labs, and they provide us team jerseys when we go to lands. They provide money for our tournaments and show matches, which we'll have. We're going to be having some new ones coming up soon. We plan to having some weekly cash tournaments for the community. And we have a TeamSpeak server that a lot of us can come on and share strategies, communicate, play custom games, and really help grow the team within, which really is a big impact. I haven't been to a lot of teams, but it really shows that that kind of community really helps players grow. Like we even have a thing we call an SCA curse that a lot of times there's so many occasions where a player leaves the team and they just kind of disappear, get a lot worse. So there's a stigma to once you're on, you better stay here or you're going to start to suck pretty quick. But we also have a couple of partners with Zeke that help host our tournaments, Base Rate TV that help broadcast and cast some of our tournaments, Ownage, which actually provide our t-shirts and are a fantastic company. They're actually partnered with players like Select and Dragon, and they do really, really great work. And actually, I'm forgetting one more partner we have, and that's TeamSpeak. Actually, TeamSpeak is also one of our partners as well. And I would consider myself a High Masters player, but I'm on the B team. Our B team actually also has 2 Grandmaster players. Our A team is all Grandmaster players. It's 8 of them. And then a couple of them are just top 16. So they're very, very good, especially Estrella, Skipper, Coolman. I mean, Coolman actually recently dropped out of GM because of inactivity, but just before that, before FXO disbanded, he all killed them in Clan Wars 2 weeks in a row.
He was sandbagging.
I know what you're talking about.
And it was all straight up macro games. So we definitely have a very, very strong lineup, and a lot of really great players, a lot of potential. We also have an academy team even that has quite a few players, but the academy is much more casual than the B and A team. There's both B and A team generally have 2 to 3 clan wars every single week. Academy is more casual. They have clan wars whenever they want, and they play other games as well. But even with the academy, as more lax as they are, they're almost exclusively Masters players, for the exception of 1 or 2 players that are Diamond. So it's quite high standards and expectations for everybody.
So there's a minimum level to even join the academy before you'll accept someone onto the
Correct. I mean, generally speaking, the academy is more lax, so they can make certain exceptions, but for the StarCraft Academy, there's definitely a certain level of expectation. The TeamSpeak is open, so people can come on and hang out with us, and we have people that come on. There's actually several members that we went to a Chicagoland, and there's a few people that came on then and just hung out with us that were not really of caliber to join us, but they were definitely nice guys that hung out with us and got some free coaching, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Very cool.
Flexing for the camera.
Well,
Goober.
I got 6.
I mean, since we're showing off arms.
Actually, I do work out, bro. That's funny. All right, so you attended both lands. You said you had a great time. What did you think of the difference between the first LAN and the second LAN?
Oh, in the second LAN, we were treated like kings. We had fancy, comfortable chairs. We have our exclusive area where we didn't have to mingle with the peasants.
you know, one of your interviewers is gold, right? One of the peasants. Just might edit scene and put a little cat ears or something on you for the rest of the interview.
It was a controlled environment. When we had to interact, we had protection. It was but it was really great. We had actually a Red Bull in both events, so it was nice. Kept us conscious and alive for the 12 hours, however long they lasted. Definitely felt like a really long time, and
it was
definitely very exciting. A lot of fun. Those are actually the only 2 LANs I've ever attended for StarCraft, so it's hard for me to compare it to anything else, but I definitely found a very enjoyable experience, and great learning experience as well.
Was there 3 SCA Terrans or 2? I know of Faith.
You
were there.
Right, Faith and myself. Faith was a Protoss player who was actually on our academy.
Yeah, so there was just 2 SCA people there.
That's right.
Okay. That's pretty good.
So what are you looking for in the next, 6 months, we'll look short term, November, 6 months out, a year out, 5 years out with your, StarCraft career? What are you looking to do?
I don't have any specific goals as far as what I have to accomplish. I don't push myself to do anything. I want to be the best that I can. That's always been my goal. And I feel like I want to keep playing until I feel like I've reached my limit, which I don't feel that I have. Biggest challenge for me at the moment is my mechanics. At the level of Terran that I'm playing, I feel that my mechanics are below average of where they should be, and I feel that my build diversity and my game understanding is a little bit above average. So if my mechanics can catch up, with the rest of what I do, I can reach the next level. If I could be winning a WCS finals, I would be, but I'm not going to set too high of expectations until I know exactly what my limit is.
Someday, you aim for Mars and you land on the moon. It's a good day.
Exactly. Exactly.
So what you said that you do have a lot of different builds and stuff like that. What is your favorite opening against the races, the different matchups?
I don't have a specific one favorite opening. Even with good openings, I like to be able to have multiple macro openings. So I guess my favorite openings would be ones that go into a late game. That's something that you don't necessarily need to have a huge advantage on, but you can fight on par and you can adjust your opponent. So for TVT right now, I've been quite a big favor of 4GG style, but Cloak Banshee openings to double expand is quite good as well into bio. For TVP, actually I haven't really honed down on any one particular build, but Command Center first, 2 racks into Widowmine drops into 3 racks, bio play is good, but also Reaper expands into fast upgrades and double expand can be good. And for TVZ, I've actually been doing both mech and bio recently, where we go the flash style 3cc, or you can go Hellion Banshee into bio or Hellion Banshee into mech. But all of those kind of transition into at least 3 bases, 4 bases. That'll be like the macro style. So it's any kind of short games I don't find good practice, even though they're useful in best of series. And you want to practice them and be able to execute them efficiently. It's not something that I focus on.
Yeah, those short little cheap builds or early game builds. That's something you can work on, with friends or even in custom matches versus the AI. Because really, all it is just that getting that timing and the macro and all micro and all that down. As opposed to ladder seems like a more broad training.
I think it's important for people to cheese on the ladder, though. I don't personally like to, but that's one of the challenges as well as, especially in Masters, is people start getting super, super greedy, and it's a matter of who can get more greedy. And if nobody ever cheeses and no one tries to punish that, that's how the metagame develops. If everyone always plays super macro, then it's going to be macro cheese. People are just going to super overexpand all over the place, and they're never going to get attacked. So it is important to cheese. So if you're a cheeser out in the ladder, I might be mad at you when you cheese me, but
I appreciate the training opportunity.
I might say congratulations for winning instead of GG, but I am thankful for your job at keeping all the super macro greedy bastards from being super macro greedy.
You little cheese-eating rats. I hate you. I hate your guts, but thank you for helping to keep the game diverse.
So your favorite opponent race is Protoss, right?
No, definitely not. That's actually my worst right now, and we've actually been looking for Protoss practice partners. I've been scouring Europe and
I know one that's on the stream right now.
They are a big challenge right now for pretty much most of the entire B Team Terran squad of SCA.
Never trust a probe.
Is it just the standard 6 Colossi High Templar builds that are killing you guys, or is it the
It's the vast of options they have right now. Yeah. It's the fact that the Protoss with the Mothership Core can be, they literally can be on one Zealot, Stalker, Sentry, and the Mothership Core and take 3 bases and be very difficult to punish, unless your build was at the start of the game intended to punish that, or they can just go into a 5-minute Proxy Oracle or DT drops off of a single Mothership Core and then triple expand. So the Mothership Core, I think, is really the core issue right now, is that it allows the super cheesy Protoss to be super cheesy and really hard. If the Terran tries to counter it with greedy macro, they die. And it allows for the macro Protoss to be super greedy with their macro without having to make too many units. So both, it makes the two polar opposites extremely difficult to deal with. The super standard macro Protoss is actually not that terribly difficult to deal with. It's something that I feel relatively comfortable in. That's not an issue.
Yeah, any of those extremes that they take, you can't punish because that photon overcharge. You try to punish them for taking an early third, and they just float over there and photon overcharge and divert it, or you try to punish them for trying to rush something, and once again, photon overcharge, mothership, time warps.
From what I've heard, is like the top GM meta right now is that a lot of top GM Terrans tend to, if they see a fast expand from a Protoss, they take a third base at 5-6 minutes. So now it's become really popular for the Protoss to just take a second gas and then just do a big blink attack, and off of that third CC there's so little production it's hard to defend. But on where I'm at, it's a little bit different. Where at Thirsty Sea is so dangerous because you can just get hit with an Immortal All-In or so many other attacks that can be very difficult to defend.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like right now Protoss is pretty well rounded as a race, but Terran has a smaller niche. Like especially, Mech doesn't seem to be quite as effective right now.
There's a few players that seem to have good mech all-ins, but they're very stylistic and definitely are not nearly as popular. But we've seen, I feel like a Protoss that understands mech can deal with it just so incredibly easily. We've seen that from Bomber when he was trying to do this Thor Hellbat and he just got completely destroyed by storms. Just all you need is Zealot, Immortal, Storm, and then late game Tempest, and there's just almost nothing that the Terran can do.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Makes it difficult, but that is why we play this game and we don't play RuneScape, is because it changes and it is awesome and diverse and you can just see all sorts of craziness under the sun and you never know what's going to work, and it makes it interesting on a daily basis because something new is around the corner. Tomorrow, somebody's going to think of just the weirdest build, like you never would have thought of going, like 20, rush 20 ghosts or something, and all of a sudden it's going to be the thing to do. And I love seeing what news is going to come out, how it's going to be utilized, who's going to, how it's going to be countered, and then the counter comes for it.
Oh, I've got a question. What do you think of this? Okay, I'm not going to bias the question. What do you think of combining the mech and air upgrades together?
They should be fine. This is something that was the case in beta, and then the Hellbats and the mech was getting so powerful and popular, they removed the combination of the attack upgrades and they just kept the armor together. Mm-hmm. And then they found that Hellbats were still super popular and super good, and then they nerfed the Hellbats. So I feel now that they've nerfed the Hellbats, bringing that back shouldn't be that big of an issue. It definitely makes the mech openings much stronger because they can transition into air much more viably. I don't know how it's going to affect other matchups. It potentially could make it a lot stronger. It definitely will make it a lot more popular in TVZ again because it's really fallen out of popularity a lot with the way Koreans have been playing. And it definitely is going to make some European Terrans happy because there's a few of them that really like to rely on mech and have been seen doing it more frequently. Not just Strelok and Goody, but even Deji has been seen utilizing mech in TVP. Mm-hmm. So if they come up with some solid strategies, it definitely can make it a lot more viable. So I don't feel like it's going to break anything. Like the biggest concern I've heard is from other Terrans who hate playing against mech, and they know they're going to be seeing more mech, and they already hate it, so it's going to be frustrating for TVT more than anything for those bio players. But since I utilize both, I'm feeling okay with it. I don't have an issue with it. But also what you said about the game being, I wanted to comment on the fact how intense the game is. I feel that the degree to which the game challenges each individual and the competitive environment that's present in the game is really unlike any other game. And it's what really drew me so much into it and made me want to stay here and become as good as I can with this game and not any other game. Because I've played thousands of other games. I've played Age of Empires, Counter-Strike, Phantasy Star Online, Natural Selection, Dota, and I still enjoy those games and I think they're fun. But after playing StarCraft 2, going back to those games, it just doesn't feel the same. It's just so casual compared to the degree that StarCraft 2 challenges me personally. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with the other games. They have their own challenges, teamwork, and there's a lot of other leadership and hand-eye coordination, but the depth of both strategy and mechanically demands that StarCraft puts on you really it makes it such a great game.
Yeah, it is the 1v1ers game. There's really nothing like it. Yeah. All right, well, I'm pretty much out of questions at this point. I want to get to the show match as soon as possible.
Beast is asking a question, and to me personally, since Wings of Liberty, my favorite, most satisfying unit to kill has been Mass Archon with a bunch of ghosts.
Of course.
Because for a time, it was a parting style, was really popular. I remember they go 3 nexus of one game, they go up to 8 gates right away, and go to a billion Zealots and Archons, and all you make is just a bunch of Marines and ghosts, and you just EMP everything, and just 2,000, 3,000 resources worth of just Archons alone just vanquish.
Was that before the EMP change that, when it...
No, that was after, but
okay.
Yeah, it's still, but it was just a parting style specific that was very popular for a duration of time. That was back when Metalopolis was in the map pool, when they just could take 3 Nexus, and you could still punish that with drops a little bit, but it was a very solid style for a period of time.
My most satisfying unit is anything stealthed. just feel like so accomplished killing it. Like, yeah, bring that Dark Templar in. I got him.
Picking off like 6 observers in the game can be fun.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that is
yeah.
satisfying.
Especially for Terran, because you see that little disturbance in the force, and you
It's even
scan
better when
there.
you predict the one that's following your army and it's just been sitting there for a while, and you still scan and kill it. Like that's even better.
Glorious.
All right. So, any shoutouts you'd like to give, Jan?
For the most part, I'd like to thank my Team SCA, our main sponsor, Copper Code Labs, and still thank our partners, Ownage, Esports Clothing and Gear, TeamSpeak, Base Trade, and Zeke, which doesn't get as much use as it should. Unfortunately, it's a really nice website for a lot of tournaments.
Outstanding. Thank you very much. You got anything else, Shadow, before we switch over to our match? And we're going to stay live on the stream while I set up the overlay and everything, because I have my game screen overlay already set up, and we'll load up StarCraft. We'll keep talking to you. But, Shadow, you want to close out with anything for the interview?
No, other than MrCash, we had a chance to talk at length during the tournament, and it was a very enlightening conversation. You were telling me all about SCA, and I want to thank you for that and coming on today and interviewing with us. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you guys for everything that you do, putting on the lands. I look forward to the next one as well, and I hope to attend if possible. I know that actually some of my teammates, our team also, other than just StarCraft, we also have a Tekken division, and players that are amateur in some other games as well. And I know that they're going to the what is it called, the Gainesville Gatorland, and they've been encouraging me to go there as well, so I may be participating in that as well. So hopefully that'll be a good time.
I wonder if Gatorland needs casters. I am so shameless. I'm sorry. I can't help it. I'm shameless.
All right. So anyway, audience, stick around. We're gonna do an off-racing show match between MrCash and Juicy Fruit, the first and second place rivals from the first land.
Which also means both of you, because I know Juicy Fruit's listening right now, so we still got MrCash here. Mute the streams. No cheating. I will know if you're cheating. I find these things. I know.
Yeah. These guys.
Alright, so we're going to stay live while we drop MrCash from the call. Thank you once again, MrCash, everybody in chat. Throw a thank you to MrCash for joining us as we set up this this outstanding game that we're about to have.
Dude, thank you, Jan.
Thank you.
I'll play a little. Actually.
All right, so are we